I've got 9:30 in the morning. It's May the 12th, time for our regularly scheduled Scott County Council meeting. Since our last in-house meeting, several things have changed. We're trying to social distance like we need to do and required to do. So we have people, there's 7 members on the council, and we have people scattered out through this room. We think safely we can handle 12 to 14 people, and I think we're well under that or close to that. Before we get started, I'm going to let Andrew explain the recording process we're using now, if you will, so everyone will understand how it works and what you need to do in the meeting.
So the new camera is called a Meeting Owl, and it is 360-degree pickup with 360-degree audio pickup. It will focus on the presenter or who's talking, and you can have up to, I think, 3 people at one time talking, so it will focus on them. So at the whole meeting, it will have a whole 360-degree view of the room at all time also. And if anyone's back here presenting, it will focus on them out in the crowd also.
Okay. Just wanted everyone to be aware that if you say something, even if you say something in the person next to you, it may pick it up. It may pick it up, so be aware of that. The other thing we're going to have to do is when we vote on the real important issues, especially, we may do a roll call vote so we can record your votes accurately. And with that, I'll do a roll call this morning so we'll know who's here. I'll start. Mike Zollman, present.
Albert Hathaway, present.
Amy Johnson, auditor, present.
Rachel Harden, present.
Ronald Peacock, present.
Ed Watts, present.
Donnie Ritchie, present.
Let the record show that all members are present with the exception of Raymond Jones. And Raymond's had some health problems lately, and we didn't really want him here today, although we love having him. So having done that, we'll start right in with our agenda. And the first one up is Missy Applegate to discuss election worker compensation. Morning, Missy.
No, thank you. Here's your report. That's a copy.
Thank you. Oh.
Morning, everyone. So I come before you today, as you know, it's election time, so we are struggling finding poll workers. Right now, the Republicans only have 12 of their 42. Democrats have 24 of their 36. Our normal poll worker is over the age of 65. Probably 90 to 95% of our poll workers are in the age of 65 category. Most of them are not wanting to work. I can't blame them at all. With that being said, I think we maybe need to up their pay to maybe get people more interested. I've already put things on Facebook trying to get more poll workers. Just a few have contacted me back for that. Right now we have a total of 76 people at our polls, or that are poll workers. So we did up it. We've never included an election sheriff before. This year we are including them. An election sheriff only does, like, they maintain the order of the polling place. We want to use them this year to do the 6-foot social distancing, so they can measure out that 6 foot, have everybody do that, because the poll clerks and the judges and the inspector are going to have other duties. We will need 16 of those, one from each party, so at each of our 8 polling locations. That will be, I'm asking for the 16 sheriffs, so if we pay them $100 a piece, we'll need $1,600 for that. I do have that in my budget under another line item, where we're asking for an increase in the pay for the other poll workers. I'm thinking maybe $100 for each of those. So that would be $7,600, plus we have the absentee, in-office absentee voter board. We have 3 of those members, so I'd like to give them an extra $100 for each day also. And then, and that's it.
You have total on what that would be?
That total, So the election sheriffs would be 1,600, the, poll workers, that would be 80, so that would be, 8,000. I did find that in my budget, since we don't have,
No, I mean just the board, the election board beforehand, before the election.
before the
The one's gonna vote in here.
ones that wanna vote in here,
The absentee,
the
I'm talking
absent-
about the absentee board, for
Def-
the week before
absentee
the
board.
election.
You have a amount of what that will be.
no, I
How
don't.
many days you got?
We have, 6 days.
6 days, so there'll be 2 of them in here or 3.
They're actually gonna be in the tent on the sheriff's department, we've moved it. So there's gonna be 3, only because one can work one day, the other can work the other 5 days, so,
Just 600 then, right?
yeah.
Not a little less than 10,000.
You know, you paid $1,001.
$10,000.
$10,000.
Yeah. And I did find that in, my budget, only because we usually have a month of in-office voting. We don't have it this time, so I have it in my absentee voter board budget. I've got all the money in there just because we're not gonna, we're only doing a week of in-office voting instead of a month, so I do have the extra money just sitting in there. That'll cover it for this election. Depending on how it goes in November, I'm not sure if we're gonna run into the same issues or not.
But you have it covered for the primary.
I do have it covered for the primary.
All we need to do is transfer,
Yes.
or you have it already.
They're all in the same 100 category, so, we could just, I could write a note to Teresa and she could
So all you
transfer it.
need from us is permission to do this.
Yes.
Is the party chair stopping you find anybody to help work?
They are, but they're struggling.
Can't you use 16-year-old and up in high school students?
We can use 17-year-olds, and I have already reached out. I've sent an email to both of the high school principals telling them to, hey, if any of the teachers are interested, or if any of your high school seniors at 17 and above would be interested, but I haven't got any feedback from that. So I don't know if I need to send out another email, reaching out to them again, just saying, hey, I never got any feedback. Can you reach out to them again possibly? They do have to be a registered voter. That's the other
They
thing.
do?
They do have to be a registered
Because I saw
voter.
where Clark County was advertising, and they were saying high school students 16 and up, and they didn't say anything about being registered.
Yeah.
So,
To be a poll worker, you have to be a registered poll worker. It
Okay.
used to just be for Scott County, but since this pandemic has happened, you have to be a registered voter just of the state of Indiana.
okay.
And they also have to attend training, because they're all gonna be new, so they're all gonna need to be trained.
Do they have to be residents?
They don't have to be a resident. I got 2
Okay.
workers yesterday from Washington County, so
Okay.
as long as they're registered, they're good.
What if they work for the county? Are they allowed to?
Yeah,
As long as they're not related to,
yeah, as long as they're not related to anybody on the ballot.
Okay.
So, unless they're unopposed, like, where I'm unopposed, my father-in-law's gonna work. I may have to round up some other family members, I don't know.
So you think the biggest drawback is just people worried about their safety?
Yes.
And have we done anything to,
The Secretary of State has ordered enough PPE for all 92 counties. The National Guard was actually supposed to drop off our supply today, but they postponed it till Friday. There was something that happened and they will drop it off Friday. So there's enough, PPE to deliver to the early voting and also all the election polls. So we have masks, we have gloves, there's hand sanitizer, there's wipes and stuff like that. So, they had sent the list out earlier and I think it's more than enough, but I would rather have too much than not enough. So, I think we're covered that way as best as we can. I'm
Best you
not quite sure.
Yeah.
So,
so is there different pays for different
there is,
positions?
all the poll clerks get paid 100, no matter what polling location they're at. All the judges get paid 150, but our inspectors is where it's different. Like Finley, the inspector gets paid 150 there, whereas like Vienna 2, 5, and 6, Jennings 1, 2, and 5, they get paid 200 because they have multiple precincts to take care of, and they got more responsibilities. So we figured we would up their pay.
What's your pleasure, council, anybody?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Galloway, second by Robert Peacock to approve Missy's proposal. Any more questions or discussion on the motion? All in favor? Let the record show that vote passed 6-0.
Thank you guys so much, I
Got it.
appreciate it.
Have a good
Thank you,
day.
Missy.
Thank you, Missy.
Missy, how are absentee ballots working?
Absentee ballots are almost triple right now. Like the 2016 presidential primary, we had 548 male absentees. Most of those come from candidates because they're out working hard to get, votes. The phone is running nonstop, so me and Patty are mailing out most of them. I think as of last night, we had 1,211 that we've mailed out. So I'm thinking we're gonna have over 1,500 this election. So, and there's very few candidates that have turned in any, not enough to make them out like it was, so. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Missy.
Okay, next on the agenda is additional prosecutor position. Prosecutor Chris Owen, come forward, please.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris.
So, just a little bit of an update. Amanda was on maternity leave. She returned yesterday to our office. She is back in her role as deputy prosecutor. Starting on July 1st, she'll start as chief deputy prosecutor. And right now we have Matthew Lemmy, who's here as the chief deputy prosecutor, who on June 30th is scheduled to be his last day. What I'm here for is we are in need of another prosecuting attorney in our office. We have 5 prosecutors right now. Just to give you guys some background, in 2014 we filed 866 criminal cases here in Scott County. 2015, 852. 2016, 988. And then we, 2017, 18, and 19 are 1,225, 1,270, 1,256. So we've, that's a 45% increase in criminal case filings since 2014. That's a big jump. We have 5 prosecutors, and we are slammed all the time. We are, we are scrambling just to cover our normal court docket is full time, let alone any kind of trials and hearings and that kind of stuff. It's just we can't keep up with the pace. We're trying to cover court and then try to get charges ready for the court from the rest that happened, the night before. And we're covering our court docket and trying to do that at the same time, and it's just it's a whirlwind always. To give a little bit of perspective, I did check some counties and some prosecutors and stuff that I know. Ripley County last year filed 620 cases. Again, that's less than half of what we filed. They've got 4 full-time prosecutors in their office. We're over double that amount with just one additional prosecutor. Washington County, the numbers I got from them in 2018, they filed 839 cases. I believe they have 4 total prosecutors in their office. Again, we're at 1,270 in 2018. Harrison County, I've been told they have 5 total prosecutors. They filed 946 cases. That's more than 300 less than what we filed, and they've got the same number of prosecutors. And to give a little perspective, the public defenders, there's some numbers out there for public defenders that say what a public defender caseload should be. And our public defenders, we have them, a variety of public defenders, and some of them are 1.0s, which means they handle the caseload of one public defender. They have, and those are still like a full-time public defender. We have some 0.5 caseloads, which means they handle half that caseload. I'm not exactly sure of our numbers, but I think our public defender caseload, when you add all those numbers up, they're running like at either 6.25 or 6.5, in that number. So that shows if that's, and I think the numbers support that. That's what the number of public defenders they should have. The things that we do that the public defender's office doesn't even do is, one is there's a lot of criminal cases that don't have public defenders, they have private attorneys. In addition to that, the public defender contract does not include murder cases. We still have to prosecute those. If there's a murder, they go out and hire somebody outside of that. So we're handling the murders. there's a thing called post-conviction relief, and that's a thing that's actually handled by the state public defender's office, not our local public defenders. However, local prosecutors' offices are the ones who go up on those. And if someone's convicted of a crime, they can appeal that conviction, Court of Appeals, and then this is kind of another post-trial remedy outside of the appellate process. It's called post-conviction relief. And for example, a couple months ago, I had a post-conviction relief on a prior murder case that we had had several years ago. And I mean, that is basically spent weeks, I mean, literally weeks going back over that entire case and having to redo it. So those are things that we, that we're covering. Also, in addition to, expungements, public defenders don't do expungements. We still have to fight or review and approve, expungements, specialized driving privileges, not to include all the infractions that are filed, all traffic tickets. Those typically don't get public defenders appointed. We still have to prosecute all of those, which we file, last numbers I had for that, we filed like 1,359 infractions. Reviewing is, when somebody violates their probation, the probation department, we review, decide whether or not to revoke their probation. All the search warrants that are, that's all stuff that defense attorneys don't have to deal with. That we're on the front end of those things, search warrants, all the police reports that we have to review, preparing for charges. Not to mention being on call. Our deputy prosecutors are on call all the time from police agencies throughout the evenings, and that actually can be pretty time consuming. And plus all the trainings we give to police departments, which that's slowed down here because of the pandemic. But we try to. That's one thing that's been lacking the last couple of years because we've been so busy with our court docket. It's been harder to get out and do the trainings to the police agencies that we need to do because we just don't have the time. And then also there's statutory obligations from, as a prosecutor, there's certain things that I'm in charge of as far as review teams and response teams and that kind of stuff. And we've been so busy that a lot of that stuff is lacking because we're just trying to get the normal daily routine done. Other thing I did compare to some neighboring counties, our major felony caseload, and that's a level 5 felony all the way up to murder. Ours runs between 11 and 12% of our entire caseload each year. For the best I could find, a lot of the other counties around, their major felony caseload was about 6% of their total cases. They had a lot more misdemeanors and low-level felonies than we do. Ours is the more major stuff. So what I'm proposing is, I would like to add a deputy prosecutor's position that would take us up to 6, counting myself and my chief deputy, 6 total prosecutors in our office. I would like to create this at a salary of $75,000 and title it, have it as a position with someone who's got some experience, like a chief trial deputy would be their title. I think that's what we decided on, wasn't it, Tammy? Chief?
Yeah, one of the things, and I'm gonna give you this because this is where you're at now with one, and this is with a $10,000, but if that goes down to 75, forget it, but that's your
Okay.
benefit package.
Okay.
That's the impact.
Okay, so,
So you're just asking for salary for the rest of the year?
correct, and so what I'm asking is that this would start July 1st. And I've got Mr. Lemmy, who's in our office right now. I know if this position is created, he would apply for it. He's almost a 20-year attorney, been a prosecutor probably most of that time, in private practice and stuff as well. And that's why I think this is a position that goes to someone with some experience that can kind of be like a chief trial deputy that goes in and helps even the new deputies when they come in, with their trial prep and get those things ready.
Isn't he fixing to do a murder trial?
Yeah, that's the other thing. So the murder trials that we had, we literally started picking this jury, I think it was the week before this pandemic hit. So we're probably fortunate that this happened in a lot of ways, because I don't know what we would have done if we were at the middle of this murder trial when all of a sudden all these shutdowns and things occurred. But we started picking he and I were trying that case together. He's done a ton of work on it, spent months preparing, and we started to pick the jury, and we couldn't get a jury seated from here in the county because of lots of just knowledge on the case, relationships with the parties and witnesses and that kind of stuff. So that trial is now set to happen in September. And so obviously I'd like to, if we can keep him on, he's going to be a great asset. We are ready to go on that, him and I together, and it's, if he's out the door, that's going to throw a wrinkle in things for us. So
So do you have any money to go toward this?
What I have found is I had, for the remainder of this year, I looked through my budget, and I think I can come up with 15,000 on pretrial diversion. Now, that's gonna take that fund down pretty good for next year, and I don't think, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think I'll have anything on that fund for next year. But I have 15,000 of that fund for this year that I can come up with it and pay. And then if this is created, then obviously next year we would try to, work it into the budget.
Who sets the court costs and fees?
I believe that's done by the state as far as, when there's criminal case, with court costs, that's done by the state, and there's statutes, and, each case can be different. If it's a driving offense, there's an additional little bit. If it's a drug offense, there's a range that you can, assign. If it's a, offense that involves child abuse, or there's a range, some of them will be 500 to 1,000. So each case can be a little different, but the basic structure.
You get money from the state on the laws and fees they charge.
I think the county does, but I don't think that we do as a prosecutor's office. Yeah, what we do, there's two ways that we kind of get some fees, outside of child support. We get child support stuff. But outside of that, we get our pretrial diversion, which is usually low-level crimes, that we, somebody's first offense, that kind of thing. Maybe you're a first-time shoplifter, you've never been in trouble. First, you may get a pretrial diversion, which means you sign a contract, you'll stay out of trouble for a year, and there's fees with that, we get a percentage of that. And then infraction deferral for speeding tickets and, interactions. That's where our main revenue comes from. And I've done a lot this year to increase our infraction deferral. What I found as a prosecutor was, we have always had infraction deferral here in Scott County, but most people have no clue about that. They would get a ticket, they just come in and pay their ticket, or they'd get a ticket, they'd come in to contest, and so they would come to court, and we would say, well, hey, you were going 10 over, you don't have any prior crimes, we can give you an infraction deferral, which means you pay this fee, you don't have any more tickets, and you stay out of trouble, and the case gets dismissed. And a lot of people have no clue, they would jump all over that. So what we do now is, every traffic ticket, when it's filed, we review ahead of time to see if someone qualifies for infraction deferral. And we contact a place called Advent, and the reason we do Advent adds education. So there's a driving class that they can take online. So in addition to just getting an infraction deferral, you're actually getting some education about your behaviors to get those corrected. And so we, with no cost to us, anyone who qualifies, we send to Advent. Advent sends a letter on our behalf to everyone who gets a ticket who qualifies. It says you're eligible for this infraction deferral. Here's the process to do that. And last I checked, it's been a few months, but our infraction deferral numbers had almost tripled. And again, we're a small county; it's not a huge number, but that's one of the things we've done is try to. I knew a lot of people were interested in that, just didn't know about it, so we're trying to get that word out there.
If we find the money up until first of the year, and then we go into our budgets, and we don't quite have that amount of money, we can find the full amount of money. I mean, is that gonna be okay?
That's better than nothing, because the other thing is, obviously with this pandemic, it's twofold. One is the arrests have slowed down a little bit, but the other thing is the arrests have slowed down, but people are still getting cited in. They're still, when crimes are being committed, we're still getting those reports, and we're filing those charges. They're just getting court dates in the future. Hopefully things open back up. The other thing is we're working really hard to still pre-trial these cases, but our cases that we're getting resolved, obviously, are way less than normal because people aren't coming in here. Even defense attorneys, we're still trying to talk with them, but they're not coming in. Some of them do, some of them don't. Some of them are older, some of them have kids with issues. They're trying to distance themselves. So there is going to be a backlog for us and the courts when these things open back up. And I expect to be slammed. I know at one time the judges have talked about, I think they're open about anything when things open back up. But we're going to try to start doing more remote hearings and that kind of stuff. But when things go full board, there's been talk about nights or weekend courts or whatever we need to do because the caseload's going to be so high. So that's something that's scaring crap out of us right now in our office. It's the backlog that we're going to have to deal with.
Amanda will be paid by the state, is that correct?
Starting July 1st, Amanda will become chief deputy, and so she'll be paid by the state.
She'll be paid by the state.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so what we did if you remember a few months ago, while Amanda was gone, I was concerned that we couldn't, with the prosecutor short, we couldn't keep up with the volume, so, we got a temporary position that I think began February 3rd and went till June 30th. And so we've had, while Amanda's gone, we still had 5 prosecutors, because I don't think we could have kept up if we didn't. And, the person who was hired in that spot, when Amanda becomes chief deputy, will move into Amanda's spot as the drug prosecutor. And Mr. Lemming will be gone. But I think to keep up the work that we need to do, we need a prosecuting attorney to do things the right way.
Well, the ideal situation, in my opinion, would be put it in next year's budget. I understand you probably wanna hold on to him if you can. We honestly don't have any money to make an additional appropriation with at this time. If you could find the money to finish them out for the year and then put it in the budget for next year, that might work. But I don't know if we find $45,000 even.
Well, we're just gonna come up with 22.5.
Well, if you can find 15, but then 15's gonna cut him
Well, he
short.
said he
Well,
found the 15.
I said, yeah, I think we'll have enough for what we normally budget out there for next year. We just won't have any kind of excess.
Yeah, but usually what happens is you take 15, you come in next year and you say, well, I gave 15 here, I'm gonna need it back this year, so I'm not counting on
Right.
that.
I don't think I've ever done.
I'm not saying you
Right,
did,
I've
but
never
some
done
do.
that, but yeah. I mean, I expect that 15, I think, you know, because we're gonna continue to have pretrial diversions, hopefully for the rest of this year. I think even with this 15, we can cover what we normally budget out pretrial diversion for next year. We're just not gonna have any kind of excess sitting around. You know, we'll do our best to build that back up, obviously, a pretrial diversion.
But we feel like finishing out the year would be about 22,000 if he puts up the 15, is it what we're looking at?
22.5.
22,500. Could this come out of, hospital reserve?
We got a lot coming out of there.
But could it?
You
What
can
am I-
technically, you've appropriated for positions before out there, like school
Do
resource
you
officers,
suggest anywhere else, Tammy?
without really going over the funds and Teresa and I taking a look and sitting down with it to make sure, I mean, that's always the less cumbersome, so to speak, fund to go to.
Well, my
reserve.
point is in the last couple of years, this community has turned around so much. I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. And I think we owe it to our taxpayers to do everything that we can do to keep this community heading in the right direction. So if we have this in the hospital fund, we feel like that's the only place we can get it, I would be in favor of this.
Well, we have the rainy day fund, I think we have almost 200,000 in there. And since it has to do with murder trials, that's where we've always appropriated for murder trials.
Do this, I'd rather do that than the hospital fund.
The rainy day,
Yeah, I would too.
If you all look in your packets, there is a markup of the positions that if they stayed at the current regular deputy's position with the benefits full-time. And then if we went to the 75, which is the $10,000 increase, he said 75 even, so there would be a little bit of an adjustment there. But you can see, divide that by 2, and that's what you're looking at for the last half of the year to come up with. So if you take that number, you're looking at 54,000-ish minus 15,000. You're looking more like 39 with benefits.
39.
With benefits.
With all the deferred comp, and if they took the best insurance package we've got, okay, that's the premium, that's the most expense we can bear on an insurance package. Obviously, if they don't take that high end of package, then we'll save money there, but,
We really wouldn't know that.
that's the worst case scenario,
Okay.
as far as trying to find the money to
And
make
guys,
sure it's appropriate.
You know, I preach this all the time, but we're gonna have to stay away from this hospital reserve fund for just everything. I mean, it's just gonna have to quit being our fallback one of these days. And this year, as much as anything might prove that we need this money, basically in a rainy day fund, because we don't even know if we're gonna be able to make the payroll. If the tax collections, I don't want that to get out, you know, we're gonna have a problem or anything, but yesterday was the last day for the May, or the spring installment. I haven't talked to the treasurer, I don't know how they came out.
She's reported good returns,
Yeah.
She really has. She's
Okay.
been updating me and, she's very pleased with the collections despite the 60-day penalty lapse. She's very, very pleased with what's going on. So
Yeah.
she's been trying to keep me posted on all that.
Good, good.
The SRO, that's coming from
That did initially right, and then that was, I'm trying to think when they actually started. They started in 18 or 19? So
the
initially,
SRO. Where's that coming from? Is that coming from
Public
the SRO
safety.
pay right now? We're
Yeah.
took it out of,
General fund.
oh, it's coming out of general fund.
The security, what we had budgeted for the security that was here, out of general fund.
Okay, that's what I said, you said the hospital fund, well,
the school resource officers initially, I think the Austin grant maybe, and
Yeah,
the
Austin grant.
school resource officers, when it kicked off, was budgeted from hospital reserve fund.
Right.
Yes.
okay, so
And
we're paying them, we're paying all that, and the school's not paying anything.
The last I'll be able to collect from the school is basically the first, 10 weeks of the year. And then we don't know how school's gonna kick off again next year, if they're gonna be needed on site or not. So again, our revenue, stream kind of tanked in that area, so we're not collecting. We've collected everything that was due to us in, 19, everything's paid in full, but I've got to bill the spring bill. And that's all we're gonna have till obviously October, when I get to bill the first installment for the fall, so.
This is not advertised for this month for an additional, so the additional would have to be done for next month. So,
Could we act on the position today and then, do the advertisement?
we could do a voice vote.
Yeah, this is about 3 times we've discussed this and it's come up about 3 different meetings and everything. I'd like to act on it myself.
Yeah, and I'd like to have an answer just for the, Mr. Lemon who's here. Obviously, June 30th is his last day, so he needs something to
Next meeting,
kind of understand.
until after June, so. So this can come out of the rainy day up until the
Yeah,
first of the year?
And I can,
It's 30.
I can try to, I'll do whatever I can out of that pretrial diversion. If we can, if I looked and I was comfortable saying that 15, if I can get that to 20, it kind of depends on what would come in. I'll be more than happy to do what I can. Because I think it's much needed for us to continue the strides that we've made. Like, what Donnie said, I think we've made a lot of headway with this community and this county as far as people being, feeling safe here and being safe here and holding people accountable. And I think this is, essential to be able to keep doing that.
Could the motion be up to 39,000 and then see if you can get more than 15?
That's fine with me. I'll sit in, I'd be more happy to sit down with Teresa or whoever, and she can look at that fund with me and tell me, if she looks at that and tells me I can do 25, that's,
It would
I
be
trust
up
her
to
with
up to the
numbers.
first of the year, and then when we get into budgets, we can see what we can do.
right.
I'd like to make a motion for this position to come out of the rainy day fund up to $39,000. And the prosecutor will see what he can give towards that. If it's over 15,000, that would really help us.
Can I interject something?
Sure.
Instead of rainy day, can we just advertise in several
Several
different
different
places as we
places.
look at
Yeah, that's what I
where
was getting ready to say.
possibility.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty certain
you
saying
know more
exactly.
about that than I do,
Yeah,
whatever you
because you'll
think,
have to,
Since-
whatever
since-
you think's best.
Since we have to advertise, we can,
yeah.
So how should I put that, or just
just
what
that-
you just said?
Just that we will look overall at the, any operating balances, advertise 39,000 for the June meeting.
Okay,
And then do we need to advertise for the pretrial
From
diversion?
applicable funds,
Yes.
we
Yes.
could,
Yes.
from usable
Yes.
funds,
Yes.
we'll advertise up to 39,000.
sounds good, yeah.
And you'll need me having to go through look at those numbers
Yes.
and tell me what we're comfortable doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, cause your amount would also have to be appropriated
Right.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So is that motion good enough there, Teresa?
Yeah.
Okay.
We instruct the auditor to advertise up to $39,000 out of any funds she thinks appropriate for this position.
And then whatever we can find in pretrial diversion.
And even,
I
I mean, and you can even put infraction deferral on there as well, if I can, you know, if we can, I don't know how much we'll be able to scrape out of there, but we can put something on there, that would be fine.
So it's infraction deferral, and then what's the other thing?
Pretrial conversion.
Okay.
Should there be a starting date on this of June 1st?
July first.
July 1st.
July
Yes.
1st.
That'd be in the motion too.
So propose July first,
Ju-
position.
Yeah.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any more questions or discussion? Everybody understand what we're doing? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it, and I promise you, we'll do whatever we can to make, you know, I wanna make everybody in this community proud that, I've always grown up saying I'm proud to be from Scott County, and,
We appreciate your dilemma, Chris, it's just a bad time.
sure. I gotta tell this story real quick. So my wife and kids had to make a run to pick up groceries, and they stopped by, I'm not gonna say what establishment, they stopped by a place in Clark County for for some food, and one of the managers there have gotten to know just our family from pulling through for my wife, and so he said something, I forget what the deal was, the kids were in the back, we were doing some schoolwork or doing something, and he made a comment, he said, hey, Scottsburg or something, and something said about computer. He said, oh, they have computers in Scottsburg? And my wife said, my kids immediately said, oh God, I'm glad Dad wasn't here. Because, yeah, and as they're telling me the story, she's like, look, he's getting mad about it, just tell him about it. So, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how I want everybody to feel that way. You know, I want our kids that want to stay here. I want them to get up and do, whether it's vocational school or college or whatever, but when they're done, I want them to come back here, and this is where I want them to raise their family.
Just find as much of your money as you
I
can, make
will.
it much easier.
Yeah, I'll
for
sit
all
down
of
with
us.
Teresa, and you can go through and tell me whatever we can come up with, we will. I think it's worth it. It's worth it. We need it.
Well, Chris, our community is better. I mean, just talking to the people, especially
Definitely.
family, and going up and sitting and talking to somebody on the porch. They're amazed that people are not walking up and down the street staggering and coming up to the doors. I'm hearing nothing but good.
Good. We plan to keep that up. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
I
you.
believe you always do what you can to help us out, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys. Appreciate you guys. Same here.
All right, Josh, I think we're ready for you, buddy. Maintenance custodian position. Morning.
Actually, I think we got a few things, correct? This is my first one with you guys, so hopefully, as building superintendent, so hopefully just bear with me. I may look back at Teresa and Tammy a few times, but first, we'll go quicker to do the transfer.
If that's with, yeah, we've got,
Okay.
I've got you down for custodian position, but it doesn't matter, we can do that.
On the, you should have a paper on that, we wanna create a line, I don't have an equipment line, in my budget, so we, are wanting to purchase a lift, that will be used for me and Andrew in the courthouse, for safety as well, to not climb up a 12, 14 foot staggered ladder. We got a single man lift that we can purchase, about $7,000, but we can get it for $1,900. I have the money in my longevity budget, which I will not be using for a few years because neither one of us have been here long enough to receive that. So I have the money in the line item. I don't have the paper with me, but
And they do.
okay, it's going for, I think I put in there, it's going from longevity budget to a 42,000
You got it.
Count.
line. I just wanted to come to you guys and see if that was possible. We can go, I can move that over to purchase this lift.
So we'll create a line item if it's their
Yeah.
pleasure and then transfer the 19.
Is that like a cherry picker?
It's stock picker,
Stock.
basically, yeah, same thing. It's good, it's so that I can go all the way up to the ceiling out here in the hallways and the second floor. If I'm working on a light or replacing tiles, I can actually put them on the front of this lift that holds like 350 pounds, which is enough, and go up, I can work up there instead of unhooking it, bringing it all the way down on the ground, working on it down the ground, I can actually work on it while I'm up in the air. So it'll be a lot safer to use, and me and Andrew will be able to use it. We can actually use it anywhere in the county. It'll go through pretty much any of the doors that are at least 36 inches. So, like I said, I do have the money in the budget. I just wanted to come to you guys about creating
Commissioners
it.
did agree with the
Commissioners,
purpose.
They did a.
Does that go high enough, like say you go into the jail with those high ceilings, will it go up that high?
It goes up to is it 16 feet, Andrew? Working height
Working height
is 16 feet. We actually have one at the jail. The jail already purchased
Yeah.
the
They
system.
did. I thought they
It
did.
came out of
Jail's
the-
got bigger ones.
Yeah, it came out of
Yeah.
commissary budget, I believe, but yeah, we actually got it from the same establishment
Oh, okay.
that we'd be getting this one through, so, we're very pleased with how it operates, and I just wanted to see if we could just
Sure.
create that line.
So
And
is the line
transfer it.
item gonna be 42,000, or is it 42,001, or,
I was told 42,000, so I don't.
well, that's the overall, yeah.
That's, yeah.
I don't know for
We
sure.
could
what
just
num-
give
yeah,
it
It's whatever
42,001.
equipment is normally in the system, Teresa, I don't know if you know that one off the top of your head. Yeah. But it's just, yeah, we'll do the
Okay.
equipment,
Yeah,
it's,
forty.
there's one assigned across the system and everybody's
Okay.
budget, same number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the equipment line item.
Robert, you say? Okay. We have a motion to approve the line item. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Motion carried 6-0.
Now,
Thank you for that.
motion to approve the transfer
Transfer.
of 1,900 from longevity into the equipment line item.
Second, I'll second that. We have a motion and second to transfer the 1,900 into that line we just created. All in favor? Motion carried 6-0. Now, Andrew, what's your turn? Job.
And, on this next one, actually, I wanted to come to you guys as, kind of, I spoke with Commissioner Lisenby about, a few things on trying to save, some money in areas, and, as you guys, I don't know if you guys knew or not, but we moved, Eric Sexton, that was in the, full-time custodian position, is now in the maintenance custodian position. He got the job as that, and so now we need to hire somebody in the custodian position. And I kinda wanted to get some, I spoke with Lisenby about different things on how we wanted to do a job. If we would just wanted to stay with a full-time, if we wanted to do 2 part-times, and on your paper, there's actually different ones that Tammy has helped me come up with. It's just, I don't know if you got it or not, but, there's different ways of doing it. The only thing, one of the questions I had too is, if we do that, if we do one of the bottom 2, so if we have somebody with up to 30 hours, our full-time is 40 hours. If we have 2 people up to 30 hours of part-time, they're gonna get 20 more hours of cleaning, in the facility. Now, I do realize it may be a lot harder to maybe get part-time, I don't know, and right now, in the time that we're in, it may be hard to even get anybody to come to work, cause they're probably making more sitting at home. But I just wanted to get some, feedback from you guys as council, if you had any recommendations of what I should do in this situation. I've been leaning, again, now I'm leaning back more towards the full-time position, just because, it is already there and I can advertise it right now for a job, if we wanted to post it. But again, I just wanted to get some feedback from, as you can tell, that if 2 people are 1044, it's a total of 35,292, and then that's for 2 people.
And then I did one on the workup, I did a 30 and a 28, he's looking at the 30, but I'm a little bit nervous about 2 30-hour positions because of the ACA.
Right.
We need to stay
30
under
hours.
30.
30 is the cutoff
Stay
for
at
part-time.
28.
And it would be hard to keep one at 24 one week and one at 30 the next, back and forth, so.
So if they go to 28,
28 ends up being,
Makes
at
sense.
our regular part-time wage is, 32,939.79 for basically 56 hours worth of work a week at part-time wages at our regular part-time. If we pay them what they make typically now an hour in that position for 28 hours, it, jumps about $13,000 for the entire year. It's about $4 more an hour, and it's 45,560.39, and that's for 56 hours worth of work with no benefit. So,
Is it cheaper to go to part-time people?
it is cheaper, I don't know, what'd you say the
If you done
full-time?
away with one and
full-time is
added the benefits,
57.5, if they take the premium insurance.
Yeah, if they take the premium top of the line, right, Greg? And the insurance in full-time, it's
Know that.
57, yeah, you won't, I mean, they may not take it, they may not have a family, a
Right.
big family, so it may go lower than that
Could you
57.5.
put the full-time position on hold and try the two part-time, and if it doesn't work?
That was my question, that was what I wanted to know, I hate to close out the full-time line if the two part-times don't work.
You'd have to create a position again.
Yes, I'd have to
if it didn't work.
yeah.
But I don't know if you can even do that.
It's hard to get part-time help, but it's even harder to keep them.
John's got a comment.
Yeah, the only reason I was really, there's two reasons for the part-time. One is cheaper, you don't have to pay all the benefit packages. And the other big reason, and I'm not really for hiring anybody new for anything for the rest of the year, just because depending on how bad things go, we could end up in a financial crisis and end up having to lay people off. So it doesn't make sense to me to hire more on, at least for the remainder of this year. And if it don't work, yeah, we can go back to the full-time. I'm kind of favor of the two part-time right now.
I feel it's what the commissioners want.
Yeah. And there is people sitting at home, but there's also probably other people that could use an extra couple $100 a week too, or whatever it is. I don't know. It doesn't have to be forever. But there's other commissioners, that's just my opinion.
We could allow them to try it, and if it don't work, we could also agree here that we'll look at putting it back full-time if it's not working out.
Right. One of those two might be somebody you wanna hire full-time.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
We have the full-time line, it's budgeted in the full-time line, you guys, I think, can make a motion to,
Go.
pay from that full-time line, and allow him to, do temporary part-time, and pay from the full-time line that's already appropriated from. And that way we can just make a note on the salary ordinance and not really have to transfer.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the full-time, part-time is probably our decision anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then you guys figure out.
So what I'm gathering here today is that Josh is asking for two part-times.
Yeah.
But he wants to keep the full-time line open.
Yeah.
And so that he has your blessing on that one,
Yeah.
as commissioner. So, if that's what you're asking, and I think you are, then we're ready to move on it.
Okay. Is that keeping that full-time?
Keep the
Line.
line item.
Keep the line open,
Right.
so we're gonna take funds, we're gonna take
Pay
funds
out
from that
From
line.
that line?
And see
From
if
that
it
line,
works.
to pay
Okay.
this, so it's still gonna be open, it's still gonna be.
That way you don't have to create another position.
Right. That's where this pay's gonna come
No, or
from,
we
that
could
full.
create a part-time line item and just transfer the
The
money
money
down.
down.
Right.
That's up to you, whatever you guys want.
Cause it's kinda misleading if you're
Leave,
paying
yeah.
part-time of a full-time position.
Yeah,
It could
I was
get
just gonna put a
confusing
note
down the
on-
road.
yeah. Yeah, that's up to you guys, whatever you want.
But that's where the money's gonna come from, is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
yeah, we'll
full-time
transfer
line.
the money
We're just
down.
gonna transfer money out of it into
I think you should
the
show
two
that.
part-time.
Yeah,
We need to create a part-time line and then
Right,
move the money
move
to
the
it.
money down, but leave that line item there.
yeah, just, and transfer the money, and then it's just
Yeah.
zero in the budget, and you don't have anything to pay from that.
We don't know the number of the line we're gonna create.
We can, I'll add that to the minutes
But we
when we
will.
find the appropriate lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will accept a motion to create a line item for two part-time employees in the maintenance department. I'll make that motion.
And leave the full-time line alone and then transfer the funds from the full-time to the
To
part-time
the
line.
part-time.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Everybody know what we're doing?
Did you?
All in favor of the motion? Motion carried 6-0. Got anything else, Josh?
I
Think that's it?
think that's it. I don't have anything else.
David?
Did you have something for him?
No,
Sure.
no. I had those two things written down.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Good one. Sheriff, not here.
Sheriff's not here, is anybody got the grant application, we
No,
doing
he
that?
had a funeral to go to.
I'm sorry.
He had a funeral to attend this morning.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but we'd have that grant
You
application,
do, it's in your packet.
we can do it.
Yes, and the commissioners approved it last week.
Oh, that's right, I did see it. Okay. I'll find it in a minute, Tim. I've lost it, Tim, yeah.
It's okay.
You got one?
And I'll just have you sign
Yeah.
that one too.
Next on the agenda is a grant application request from Sheriff Gooden. Sheriff Gooden couldn't be here, so I'll read the grant application. It's for Advance County, requires a budget. This local grant request by Scott County Sheriff's Office through Scott County Community Foundation. The funds, if granted, will be used to purchase 3 in-car radios as part of the communication enhancement project started last year at Scott County Sheriff. No matching funds are required for this grant if awarded. The Scott County Community Foundation will Scott County Sheriff's Office will budget for the remainder radios needed, 3 or more, to finalize this project, with an end result of 30 Scott County Sheriff's Office vehicles outfitted with new radio systems. There is no matching funds, so I would like to have a motion to request or accept this quick request for a grant application.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I have a move to approve. Robert Peacock seconds. Get that, Tammy? All in favor? Motion carried 6-0. I'll sign the grant. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Tammy. Additional appropriation request, public health nurse number 2.
This was budgeted last year in the hospital reserve. Half of this is paid for by grant, and the other half needs to be appropriated over half of the salary for public health nurses.
And we advertised that out of hospital reserve.
Hospital reserve, $20,948.
So we need a motion to approve. And lost it.
Motion to approve.
20,000,
948.
20,948 from hospital reserve to the health department to cover the remaining salary of the public health nurse number 2. We have a second. Robert Peacock, second. Any questions or discussion? Everybody satisfied with what we're doing? All in favor? Motion carried 6-0. Thank you, guys. Additional appropriation request, rainy day for murder trials.
We didn't have a budget on that for this year, did we?
You did, but it's in the commissioner's budget,
Oh, okay.
but at the last meeting, you all talked about moving some money up for deputy prosecutor. Long story short, some of that money's already been used, so you need to appropriate
Okay,
at least the 20,000 in rainy day for the remainder of that trial.
So you advertise 40,000.
Yes, the other 20, Tammy, what was that for?
That was, let me look at my notes here, the other 20 was for the COVID-19
Yeah.
response.
For health.
okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion to do an additional appropriation of the 40,000 in rainy day fund.
40,000, you're doing all 40.
Yeah,
Which is 20 for murder trials and 20 for the health department to cover COVID.
And I'll second that.
And Donnie seconds. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion carried 6-0. Thank you, guys. Transfer request from the coroner. I probably got that somewhere. Oh, yeah, you got that, Teresa?
Yeah. He's requesting 1,000 be transferred from autopsy to body pouches.
But that, he's still coming up short, right?
He's still short. Yeah.
So,
I asked him, oh, you got that. I asked him to, send me another letter, but he must have got busy. And he come over and get you.
I may have made a note on that fund report that he was still short.
yeah, he's still short by $200, I think. $208.29.
Is he short on 1,000 or he needs additional 200 to make it 12?
The line item is negative 1,208.29.
so it's
You got something, Mike?
$209 still short.
Yes. 209.
Yeah, I just want to make you guys aware that for the first time in my life, and probably everybody else is here, in January, there'll be a coroner that doesn't own a funeral home. So I've been working with Jerry Buchanan for some time now, trying to figure out what we're going to do as far as where they're going to house a coroner's office, and with that, have the equipment being a cooler, a table, an autopsy table, and some other equipment. Jerry's got me a quote of somewhere in the vicinity of $10,000, so I just want to make you aware that sometime before now in January, we're going to have some money from someplace.
So that'll have to be turned in on the coroner's budget at budget
Yeah.
time.
Because it's going to be something different than we've ever seen, so.
Right.
And the commissioners are working with the CEO of the hospital, trying to see if we can utilize some rooms out there. I know early on Kelly had worked with Mike Everett, and Mike's not there anymore. So I'm working with the CEO of Hart County Memorial and Scott County, because they're one and the same. But he's found that proposal before, so he's trying to see what he can do as far as getting us a room or 2 rooms at the hospital that we could have this facility at. So
Okay.
when I know more about that, we'll present it
Okay.
and whatever.
Did
But I just want to put
Okay.
a bug in your ear about there's going to be
Right.
some money that's going to have to be found someplace.
So you said 10,000 was the quote that Jerry gave.
That's an estimate of what he said. He's looked for a cooler, table, and some other equipment, so we're in the ballpark with 10,000 or something. So just FYI.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Okay. So, Teresa, we doing 1,200,
1209.
1209, might as well take what 1210. Do we have a motion? Robert Peacock, motion. Ab seconds. Any questions or discussion? Everybody know what we're doing? All right, all in favor? Motion carried 6-0. So we got the corner taken care of. Tell me what we know about this DAV vehicle. Can we table that one?
I would recommend we table that, because I believe you'll probably have to engage in some conversation with the veterans officers to see about what they plan on doing for fundraisers, because the presentation that was given to the commissioners and the council was that approximately half is all they expect the county
Right.
to fund, but we don't know what the other half is gonna do, so you kinda wanna make sure that, I think, in my opinion, you check to see what their fundraising
Right.
efforts are and how far along they plan on. Of course, obviously, people getting together for fundraisers and whatnot's a little bit on the
Right.
difficult side to perform right now, but
So,
I would recommend that you table that one.
I'll move that we table that one, that request for the DAV vehicle. So moved. Did you move, Donnie?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor? Table. Motion carried 6-0, it's tabled. Okay, additional appropriation request from the highway department. Ms. Gill. Good morning.
I'm just here for the legalities of this. I think it's already been approved. I talked to you all about purchasing a paver, and we would do $120,000 additional for 5 payments. We do have the paver in, if anybody'd like to stop down, it is beautiful. The guys are just tickle pink.
For now.
Well, they'll keep it clean,
Why not?
but it's nice. The company's actually coming back on the 19th. They'll do like a week training, on it. So all this is just to, pull that 120 into the local road and street. And we do have a line item, for
Equipment.
these payments that it'll go into. It's already set up.
And that was advertised, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Robert Peacock moves to approve.
I'll second.
App seconds. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, guys. All right, what else you got, Jill?
I think that's it, isn't it?
You got a transfer from Kimberly.
You got community bridge. Community bridge?
I know.
You don't? Okay.
Sure. Oh, we ended bridge inspection. It goes in 4-year increments, and this one closed out, so I was short in the budget. So I needed $20,000 to transfer. Which it's in the same budget. I don't know why we're going in front of
Two
them.
different categories.
Okay, so, but it's there, the money's there. It's
So
already
what are we doing,
approved in that
It's just a
budget.
Transfer.
transfer.
Yes,
From one category
to another,
Right.
yeah.
Move to move.
Donnie moves to approve. Robert Peacock seconds. All in favor?
I think that's it for
Who
me.
did the second? I'm so sorry. Who did the second?
All right, we'll take-
No, I'm sorry.
Was it Robert?
Who did the second?
Oh,
You second? Yeah.
Yeah, Robert second.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take a short break, then we're gonna meet the commissioners.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
About 2 or 3 meetings ago, I made a motion and the board voted for it on the longevity from 1 to 5 years. After she looked into it and give me how much money it's gonna cost us, I said around $18,000. If the board would like, I'd like to rescind that motion.
It'd be a revoke.
Huh?
It'd be a revoke and not a rescind.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just terminology, that's just
Okay.
my card.
And that'd be fine if this board agrees to that, and maybe we can look at it at budget time and it not take place this year. I think it's just a little bit too much money. I didn't realize it was that much. So I'd like to rescind that or have.
Revoke it.
I'd like to.
You make that motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Give I a second. I'll second. Any question, discussion on the motion? We made a motion to revoke the previous motion about the longevity. Okay, all in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Now we take a break. Thanks, Don. We're gonna reconvene the council portion of this meeting. We have 2 more things on the agenda. The next thing is a discussion for additional compensation during the pandemic. You got any proposals, Tammy?
And just noting what had happened at the meetings prior to this, I'll start off with that. The commissioners took a look at a document that I tweaked based on Kent Irwin's initial output. Again, we did not solicit that document from Wagner Irwin Chile. They had sent it generally to their clients. This is not to be confused with the salary ordinance that was amended with the document that you all passed on your 13th meeting. That was only to keep us in good standing with Ghost Employment and the salary policy amendment and your all's agreement to that. The additional compensation document was presented to the commissioners, I believe, at their April 1st meeting, and they tabled it because they wanted to go to other counties' resources and take a look and see what they had provided in addition to. AIC had sent out a survey requesting that counties respond to them. I gave Mike a copy. It's rather lengthy because there's about 92 sections on there. So that tells in a summary type form, and they said it's going to be evolving. They want counties to send updates as they make decisions and they do things. Kent Irwin's office proposed that anyone who actually worked on site, so we're talking about exposure to other individuals when other individuals were on call and at home or either working from home and in a safe stay-at-home zone, that anybody who came out and worked on site during that type of situation be given some type of additional compensation if it was approved as policy in a matter of funding. So there's different ways to look at this. There's an amount to be added. You could possibly do, they called it, Kent Irwin's office called it hazard duty pay. Rather than, at the time, we thought this was maybe a 2-week deal and we were back to normal. That did not pan out. So it would be very hard to give every essential department, that being law enforcement, health and safety, time for everything that they worked on site when other people were on call. That it turned out to not be feasible. We can't go beyond 2 weeks, I don't think, for most of that. So there's other things. We do have clerical people that came out. We've got a summary of hours. I'll have to go pull because the girls were working on it actually. But there are scenarios we look at. You know, obviously the people who are on the front lines all the time are essential employees all the time anyway. Those are just things that's been thrown out there. The initial proposal that I tweaked for our county, because we had EMS, we had some other departments that we needed to make arrangements for, that was tabled by both boards on your 13th meeting. You tabled that. So now it's almost like, do you do anything? And then if you do, where do you start? And then what do you compensate, say, for? So again, I think it's just discussion. You guys agreed in your April 13th meeting to bring this to the forefront again and discuss if you guys were in favor of allocating anything additional to employees that actually came on site during the pandemic, stay-at-home orders initially. And that would be from the 25th of March through the 18th of April for that specific time frame.
Since we're short on dollars, I would say maybe bring a comp system just for this time, just during this time, to do a little incentive with comp time and work that into it instead of us having to shell out any more money or say we're gonna give.
And they have done
Right
awards
now.
in different counties to that effect, Rachel. I'll go with that because some counties have given people, you know, so many PTO days, gifted them, you know, something to that effect. But again, and I don't know, there's different people that had different inputs. You know, you've got your health and safety, your health department, I know, has even had a lot of times that they've comped time because they're working 40 hours plus in some positions out there a week. So it's really complicated and it's very emotional for a lot of people because, and I want to speak to this because I was here and I was taking the phone calls, and I understand that we were all a little concerned. We were a lot concerned in some cases. And, you know, it's affected people in a lot of ways, because whenever you get the governor saying you go stay home, and yet we are open for business 8:30 to 4:30, by appointment only and whatnot, it's hard as an elected official to send 90% of your staff home, and you come in, and I'm not complaining, it's not that, it's just, how do you send 90% of your people home and only call them in certain days and use them, but yet stay open from 8:30 to 4:30 and answer every phone call and taxpayer and question when you just sent out tax bills? And I'm just speaking from my department.
Right,
It's
because
very
all the
difficult.
departments was not open 8:30 to 4:30. No.
No. And I honestly, I was here every day but one day. I've been here every day but the one day. And then I realized when I went back and looked at myself and I critiqued myself, hold it, I shouldn't have left that day. I felt really bad because I'm like, I didn't have anybody coming in the office. And I was like, well, I will try to be safe at home one day. And I thought, hold it, no, I've left my post, and it really disturbed me. I was very upset with myself afterward because I realized I'd left my,
Well, I
my
think for
office
the
down.
office people, you can comp them, but your 24/7 people, if they're off, the sheriff's department or the ambulance, you're gonna have to call other people in
Right.
to work for
And it
them,
costs
so
3
it's
times.
gonna cost us,
3 times.
Yeah, one
And
thing
it
that bothered
does
me
on those
about this
people
was,
because
we had people staying home getting paid the same amount as what people came in to work was
Yeah.
getting paid. So nothing fair about it, the
Yeah.
way we did it.
And one suggestion, if you go with even a hazard duty pay, say for your essential people,
Right.
which would be what I would think would be your maintenance people. I would even think Andrew might fall in your essentials because he had to go to every department, and he
Definitely.
worked his full schedule. You've got your health department who can't, I don't honestly know how they would take off 3.5 weeks of comp time again with everything that's going on. So, I mean, it would depend on which departments you threw over to that essential, that if you gave an hourly stipend to, for that hazard duty pay, and then looked at what clerical pulled inside these other offices that were on call, and then kind of get an average of what people did, and maybe that could be a PTO or a comp time that has to be used by the end of the year, an average gift or something, so to speak, of comp time. There's just so many different scenarios, and you know, there's 92 ways to think
Yeah,
about this.
There is.
Yeah.
Well, if you take the department heads, they say, okay, I had this person to come in, okay? And I agree with Rachel, give them some kind of, it's a PTO now, instead of comp.
Right.
Yes.
Give them something, that whatever you give them, everybody that come in gets the same what they got.
Right.
Say you give everybody 10 hours or
And
whatever,
that didn't come in, don't get nothing.
and the ones that didn't,
Right.
they was getting paid at home.
Right.
But the ones that came in, set it at, so you set it at 10 hours, everybody that ran the county gets 10 hours, regardless of where you
And you
work.
could even look at it if they worked, let's say they worked 2 days in that whole week. Maybe you give them 50% of what they worked in PTO or something, you know, so that way it's fair proportionally, because I know in my department, I have payroll and I have bills. Those girls came in and Larry did property transfers because again, we weren't shut down. He came in and worked a few days, but some other people may only work a day or two to help me with the phones over 2 weeks. So you see what I'm saying? I'm looking at it kind of like, okay, somebody came in and worked 3 days, maybe they get a day and a half. If somebody worked 1, maybe they get half a day.
Well, I just figured it'd be easy for you guys
Just to say the same
set
amount.
it and set the same amount.
But
No.
I'm gonna have a girl that maybe worked 5 days, not be happy because she gets 1 day and somebody else got 1 day.
Sure be happy that she's getting something.
Yeah, I'm just talking
No,
about,
but they're
I've
gonna
heard,
look at it,
yeah,
it's not fair.
I've heard the
That
scenario.
will be real true maybe in a year from now.
Well, and people that stayed home, yeah, I could see them getting 0.
Right, because they got paid.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, you all have
By the
decided
government,
it out.
they pay.
Right.
You all have, you got the headache of it.
Did you give people back their vacation time that took it during this?
We've not done that because there's been no official action to do so. And my suggestion to lean into that one too, Rachel, is if you give a hazard duty pay in those departments, if they took PTO, they took themselves off the hazard duty for the day, so I don't think their PTO maybe has to go back if there's a monetary. But if you're clerical, I think you about have to put their PTO PTO back because there were some
We had it
at
planned
home.
all that.
Well, in
During
our
that.
system, you couldn't have just deleted that out
Well,
and then go ahead and pay them
I have no
regular?
basis until there's a formal decision made, and then I'll do whatever you guys decide. But I can't just give people back PTO if they said I'm taking a day. I can't in my authority. You see what I'm saying? Because they pulled a day and removed it from their service record.
I mean, if I scheduled a week and then came back and, vacation got canceled or something, I just told them, then they deleted it out of the system.
But nobody came back and told us I'm not on vacation. So we just,
So
by the
so
time.
nobody complained about it?
No, no, we've not really had any complaints other than a couple of people have expressed that, well, if they, I don't think I should be made to use it, but I couldn't give it back to them until we have a formal action here.
Yeah,
Because they
it wasn't-
requested
It's
it.
all about,
It
it's
wasn't-
about how we're gonna move forward now, that's.
Yeah, it wasn't their fault they had to use
Right,
it.
no, and then
Right.
too, by the time they turn in pay cards, it's already 2 weeks too late.
If somebody don't have no vacation time
Right.
coming, they wanna take a vacation in July and don't have it.
And I totally agree that if somebody's sitting here and on call at home and somebody said, this is my spring break and I'm gonna be off with my kids, and they took a week off, but there was somebody paid to be home a week without saying I was gonna use my PTO, I agree there is disparity there, and I think on those particular situations, the PTO ought to go back on their service record rather than be removed from them in those situations.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's department head decision.
Well, it's,
Well, it's gotta be consistent.
Well,
gotta be
I
every
agree.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do, yeah, it's gotta be consistent.
Yeah.
If you don't, we'll have
Every
to do it.
department-
You know who
is
came in
different.
working, who didn't.
and I
Yeah,
have time card
yeah,
on
that,
everybody
yeah.
too, so I have
Yeah.
records.
They're supposed to be tracking your time.
And in case of this, I did ask people, and I got emails that I said, please write on, if, when you worked your hours, were you on site, were you working remotely, or were you on pay and pay that day? In other words, on call. So they have recorded that for me, and I have records to where I can officially go back and give everybody what they had if there is a decision made.
So in other words, Tammy,
Yes,
anybody that's on PTO during March 25th through April 19th,
April,
we should restate
their PTO,
their PTO.
yes. And even, are you even
Unless-
paying essentials unless they get an hourly rate, and then see, they took themselves off of that.
Or unless there's off on maternity leave or something. You
And
can't-
FMLAs,
I'm sorry?
yeah,
FMLA won't count.
No, not FMLA.
Yeah, and it's already in the budget, I mean, it's not
Right.
gonna affect the budget.
so if that wants to, if you guys don't decide anything else, if you wanna decide that today, that will help me move forward in some capacity to give whatever groups you tell me back their PTO.
I'll put that in form of motion.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll second that. Now, would that motion be for everybody?
Do you want essentials and non-essentials both?
Everybody.
Everybody, okay, all right, because,
If they were off on,
now, if you guys
If
decide
they
to do a
had to
hazard duty pay of $2.50 an hour, do you wanna give them their PTO day back and then still pay them the whole day at $2.50 more an hour when they, that's where I'm having a little bit of trouble deciphering.
They're
what's
just
fair.
getting back the days that they was off. If they took 2 PTO days,
right, if they took 2 PTO days and the guy sitting at the desk next to him got to be off.
No, but I'm not talking about the desk guys, I'm talking about sheriff's department, EMS and whatnot, because if you go to an hourly rate for them, if they took themselves off the truck that day, we'll say EMS, they weren't in hazard duty pay, but you're gonna give them their vacation back that they took. That's, I'm talking about what, depends on what you decide to do.
Oh, no, you're saying
If
that
they
they
weren't
took themselves off
working.
that truck that day, so they weren't on,
They weren't
if they
on the
didn't have
front
their
lines.
vacation scheduled ahead of time, that's what I'm saying.
They have, at EMS, they have to. Most of these essential departments have to give advance notice about vacation days because of their
But I'm saying,
getting a
if they
replacement.
knew yesterday and they just called in and took themselves off, I wouldn't give it back to them. But if they already had it scheduled,
But see, I have no idea because I'm not the department head, and they won't remember back.
that's what
Yeah.
we're saying though.
Yeah.
Leave it
But-
up to the department head if they were working, they get the regular pay, but if they had already scheduled their vacation, give it back.
But
Previously to the COVID-19, because they didn't know.
just that period of time,
If
because.
they decided to use.
I mean, I'll
PTO
do whatever
time,
you guys want, I'm just trying to say that if you pay them, certain departments, if you decide on a hazard duty pay, that the PTO kind of becomes, you don't wanna do that, because you're paying them the full day plus $2.50 an hour and giving them their PTO day back. Do you see what I'm
They
saying?
just get paid and get their PTO back, they don't get the 250, because
Right,
they weren't
right.
on the front lines, they were on vacation.
All
So
right,
we-
that'll be,
yeah, it
yeah.
wouldn't be
Okay.
Right.
I just wanna make sure I'm real clear, because this is really sticky.
Yeah.
I
Right,
just don't wanna mess anything up.
right.
So what you,
Yeah, whatever your
So,
motion was,
all
and I'll
employees-
second his emotion, his
Is
motion.
his emotion?
His
Is he
emotion.
Yes. So all
No.
employees that took a PTO day between March the 18th or March the
March
25th
25th.
and April 18th will be given their PTO back on their service record, all employees,
all employees.
okay?
That the department head said that they was home.
Right now, I don't see it.
Well, they have I have the official record,
Yeah.
I have to go by official payroll records, I'm not going by department heads.
You seen a pit
No.
farm?
another county.
Not with
Sounds
that.
good.
With that, yeah.
So I did take a-
Rachel,
No, it's just that they would get, they would just get their days back and their
You all
regular
right,
pay, but no
Yeah.
250.
Either that or forget it, they'll all be upset.
So all employees, March 25th to April 18th, return PTO hours, right,
Yes,
to service record.
That's the way I see it.
All right, is Donnie a second on that one?
Yeah, that's-
yeah.
Okay.
any question or discussion on
They
the
would-
motion?
Yep.
They
So
Read,
there's no-
read the motion again.
Okay, all employees between March the 25th and April 18th will return the PTO hours to their service records. So if anybody took time off during that time, they volunteered to be off from work, that we're gonna give them that back on their service record. So
But
we're
you
gonna
didn't
not
say
make
that-
them use any PTO during the time that other people were on call.
But should
And
it
that's
go
all
on to
departments.
say they will not receive the 250 for that?
But,
Because they're on vacation, they're not on the front
but now you
lines.
have, but see, we haven't granted the 250 yet.
We
So
haven't,
done
we haven't put that.
Yeah, this is just
Okay,
This
PTO.
is
day.
PTO only, right?
okay.
Okay, that's why I just wanna make
Right,
sure
right.
that, I didn't know if this motion needs to come
No,
later,
that's another-
or if it
yeah,
needs to
that's
come
another
now, that's all.
discussion. That's
Okay.
another discussion.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions or discussion? Everybody understand what we're doing? Now it's time to ask questions. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's unfair.
Okay, pandemic pay.
Now, the rest of it, somebody come up
Now,
And I
this,
should only
this is
assume,
the one that's, they've worked, and we're gonna compensate them some way or another.
Now,
Is
work-
that-
Let's do
on site,
clerical first.
yes.
Let's do
So-
clerical.
and it's
How we're
worked
gonna
on
do
site, right, not at
Right.
home.
with. No, no,
Not
I
at
don't
No,
know
that-
which, I just wanna make sure we're talking about work, where work.
Yeah.
Because if they worked at home, do you consider that comp time or compensable, I guess? Or if they worked only for exposure surface?
No.
They got paid.
Exposure.
If my
This is
supervisor said I could work at home, and I worked at home, and I've heard a few of them say they got more at home than they did at work. So I think,
Yeah.
just because somebody,
I can't imagine.
I'm just saying,
Well, they got
How do
paid.
you prove otherwise?
well, the
Yeah, that's
department head
true.
knows what work got done and what didn't. So that's why I say, I think we're going back to the department heads ought to say, yes, so-and-so did really done this, and the other person, I really didn't see much from.
But I think you got paid the same.
You did, but I'm
People
saying.
work at home?
Yeah, if you worked at home, you get paid, but I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah,
they should be,
I don't agree with that.
you what now?
I don't agree with that.
With what?
If they work at home, they don't get pandemic pay.
No.
No,
We're not saying
No,
that.
they don't get hazard.
they just get their regular pay
They,
if
to
they
Yeah,
me,
work
they
regular
get,
from home.
they get the regular pay.
That's what we're
That's
talking about right
understood.
now is the clerical pandemic pay.
Yeah,
We're gonna
if
go
they
on that
came
for-
in
That's already
if they
understood.
came in.
If the department brought them into the building or exposure or whatever,
pandemic.
then they get the pandemic pay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we already had it covered.
With
Stay home.
everything being pretty well locked down, I don't see where there's really that much more.
Right, that's
Per
true.
department, there's really not gonna be that were called in, because I know myself, the first week and a half of that, it was mostly the elected officials and intermittent people coming in, and I know Marilyn carried a lot, and then Cheryl carried a lot, just them being in here. Because we went back down, another thing too, to that deposit policy, where we only deposited the big monies on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we had that, the commissioners agreed to that deposit frequency, because the state board, wants us to do it every day for public fund deposits, but We got that changed, so that's already in place. Should we go through another episode of this, I'll call it, we've already got our deposit frequency policy in place. And I'm very committed to making sure that once the success in this to me is that we're all safe and we're all okay and we don't have an outbreak at the jail. The end result is we're all good, and I'm so thankful for that. But I do think we've learned through this, and I think we can lay good footprints down for the next time, and I hope and pray we don't have another one, but if we are faced with this again, that we will kind of have a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3, and how we approach this as a county, and that way employees and people know the plan the next time around. I think we did well for not, now, I may not look at a lot of experts.
How it was just dropped in our lap, I think this government's run pretty well.
Yes.
To have it dropped in our lap,
Yes.
but we have
I
learned,
would
learned some.
caution all employees, if they use up all their time this summer, and this hits us again in November,
They won't get paid.
they're out of luck.
Yeah.
But they need to know it now. Well,
Yeah,
they
they
should
need
know
to-
it anyway,
right.
but they can use it however they want.
Yeah.
But if it's gone, they shouldn't be coming back in here saying, I want more money.
Right.
But if between the two boards, there's that commitment that by June or July, early July, we're gonna have a rollout in case this happens again, then I think it can be disseminated and we can get that out to the employees so they know how to prepare if we're looking at something in the fall.
That's why we need to have this joint session with the commissioners and get this worked out ASAP.
I think we need to really, by the month of June, let everybody know where it's gonna be in October.
Right.
Right. I don't think it'll be that long.
I mean,
before
there shouldn't be no
comes back.
gray areas after that, it should be black and white, and here's what's gonna happen if you,
I agree.
and we
So-
did,
So clerical, at home only gets their pay, but exposure, and they come in and work, those people can get comp time. Because they don't have to be replaced. So they can take the time off instead of getting the extra pay.
And just hour for hour, is that what,
Hour for
whatever,
hour.
hour for
Hour for
hour?
hour.
That's how I agree with that.
And then, do you guys want any stipulations on it to be used by the end of this year?
It's gonna be hard to do
Yeah.
that if
Yeah, I don't
something
want-
happens.
well,
I'd say
and I-
2021 or,
If it's comp time, you, well, then we'll,
just so you can.
can't take
keep track
comp
of it
time
easier.
away from anybody.
Yeah.
No, but you can tell them when they have to
Yeah.
take it. The department head can.
I'd
For
give
some
them
reason they don't take
2021
it, you still can't
So
take it away
maybe
from
through
them.
the
Can it
first
be used
quarter,
first?
let's say first quarter
That this must
If
be
you do,
used
Donnie,
before
you
any
gotta pay them.
PTO is taken?
Right.
yeah.
And
You
this
do.
could be
It's a
taken
law.
as lieu of PTO.
of, yeah,
Then
You see, this
need to
must be
put time
used
on it,
first.
otherwise-
yeah,
And then things go really bad again, we'll just have to read.
I think we can make,
yeah.
We can make them take this first before they take vacation.
you can,
Yeah,
well,
you
you
see
can
what I'm
talk,
saying?
you can
We
talk
can do
to
that.
Ken Irvin about this, but I think we make a special pandemic
Pay pandemic comp time.
comp time
Right,
that has to be taken.
And it has to be used before
Which-
PTO or it's the first scheduled time off that they take.
It's the first scheduled
Okay.
time on.
Yes, and it's
Now, it
not,
is law, you cannot take
Can't,
comp time away from.
that's why we want them to get their benefit now and then wait and hold their PTO, cause we do bank that.
Okay.
Okay, how's that? If that's what stipulation you want on that if we give them hour for hour, that pandemic comp time must be used before any other benefit time is taken. And then it's depleted,
Yeah, which
okay,
amount,
how's that?
which amount out the same, you just
Right.
get rid of that comp time.
But you'll get rid of the time, yes, and then it's paid at this rate of pay, it's not gonna be something that's saved 5 years down the road and then paid out at a higher rate of pay. You see, this
That's
is
what we-
relative to
that's
this
what we
time
want to stay
frame.
away.
right,
Yes, you see what I'm
I
saying?
do.
Because it was earned a specific amount and range,
Right.
and that way it's equal pay
And
now.
like Mike said, this is a special.
Pandemic.
So create pandemic comp time category, right?
I think they need to make sure we keep track of all our expenses related to COVID-19 too.
yeah, because we could
Because there's gonna be an
be,
opportunity probably in the future to be able to turn some of this in and maybe get part of it reimbursed.
So anything like this that we have, and this will be a good, we'll have an amount that they'll be granted, and it'll have a special category, and then we go back and take it times our rate of pay,
That way you
and
can
we
track
can
it.
ask for that being reimbursed.
And
Yeah.
and the state may reimburse.
well,
that.
if they're not going to do reimbursement, they are going to give each county a part of what the governor said, $300 million It's based on our population. So when we get that, we could choose where we put that money to cover what we've been out extra.
So the first thing we do is create pandemic comp time for clerical, right?
Right.
Clerical comp time. All right, the second thing is that it has to be used before any other benefit time, right?
Divided that by 92 counties, that would be 3 million apiece.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
All right, and that's pretty easy, I think, and I don't know that there's any other stipulation on that at all, do you guys have?
No.
Okay, all right,
Then,
is that a motion that somebody?
I was the one,
oh my gosh.
she's the one that's doing it.
All right.
All right,
Pardon?
is that all you got in your motion? You making a motion or you gonna add stuff to it?
Do you have anything?
No, my thing is she wrote it down.
We're gonna create a pandemic clerical comp time, and it's to be used before any other benefit time taken, and it is hour for hour for clerical on site during March the 25th through April 18th.
Right.
And Rachel second.
Rachel second.
Gotta use it first.
Any questions or discussion? Everybody comfortable with what we're doing, all in favor? That's good, Susan. Are you done, Ivy, or are you still?
No, now we gotta do the frontline people.
Okay, who are your frontline departments?
That would be your sheriff's department, EMS. Sheriff, jail, EMS, 911, well,
Health department.
I mean, they're not dealing with the public, but we still should
They're forced to work.
do
so,
something.
I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
So,
They fall under the clerical maybe. I
Health
don't know.
But they'd be held comp then. They probably took more calls and had a lot more.
Oh, I'm
stuff going
sure, I'm
You're
sure.
right, ain't nobody with
on. Mhm.
nobody.
Health department.
So,
Health
health
department.
department, IT and maintenance, right, cause they have maintenance.
IT director.
So sheriff, jail, EMS, E911, health department, IT, and maintenance.
What about community corrections?
They were clerical, they were, and then that leaves one we gotta talk about, highway.
Yeah,
They were intermittent, they did not every one of them worked
No, they didn't, did they?
the whole week. So they're gonna go back on, so do you need to amend that to clerical and highway and community corrections?
yeah.
To me, sheriff and EMS, that's a whole different ballgame to me.
Yeah, it is, it is. And with the
You
jail.
can have two different categories of your
Yeah,
hazard duty
I think
pay.
those two is gonna have to be separate.
So, well, who do you wanna take first then, the sheriff, the EMS? And,
I think we probably do the sheriff and the jail and EMS all the same.
okay? Let me scratch these others out. So how do you wanna take care of the sheriff, the jail, and EMS then?
What I had looked at was maybe paying them $2.50 extra an hour.
Hazard duty pay?
Yes. That would come out 40-hour week, that would come out to $100 a week.
That was a 4 weeks. 4 weeks, wasn't it? That 4
Close
weeks?
to 4 weeks, it was
Yeah.
about 3 and a half.
What would that come out of?
Well, the public safety is where the sheriff and the jail gets paid, the EMS, theirs
Got
would
their
come
own.
out their
They
fund.
got their own budget.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
EMS got their own budget.
Yeah,
Sheriff and
and we
jail
may
come
have to
out
do
of
some additionals for
safety
this.
Safety.
Safety net.
Cause what I can do is, once you guys make your motions, then I can come back and advertise if we have to do additionals. I can give you a synopsis of the amounts it's gonna actually end up being.
Yeah.
Of course, clerical and all that won't be any dollar for dollar, so to speak.
Right.
But this part right here, once you give me the breakdowns of what you wanna pay each category, then I'll come back with the numbers and we'll see where we can get it from. And we have to advertise it.
You're doing the sheriff's department, EMS the same, the 250?
Sheriff, jail, and EMS.
Okay, now,
50 and
I don't wanna complicate this, but EMS, there's so many built-in hours of time and a half. So if they get 250 for so many hours, and then they'll get, what, 3?
I would suggest that we just do a straight 250 pandemic pay.
Yeah, there's no,
This
there's
doesn't
no
go in,
bump for overtime.
this doesn't go in on
Okay,
their, on their
because they've got
salaries.
built-in
It's
over.
more like a bonus, I guess.
Right, yeah.
So it's not, it
It's
doesn't
like
go
a
in on.
bonus, but we can't really call it that.
And but there's no overtime involved in the 250.
No, the way I see it,
Yeah,
Just
well,
straight-
me too.
just
because
straight 250,
because it turns into almost $4.
yeah. No, just straight 250, pandemic, what do you wanna call it?
Right.
Hazard duty pay.
Just in case they say something.
Because
Hour
some weeks
for
they
hour.
work 72 hours, so they're gonna get 72 times 250. And then sometimes they work 48, and that'll be 48 times
Times
250.
But they're, when it comes to the built-in time, they don't get time and a half off the 250.
That they'll,
Straight
just for
time.
hours worked. So hazard duty pay is gonna be, so if they worked, if a sheriff's deputy pulled 4 hours over and worked 44 in a week, he's gonna get 44 times 250. So this is for every hour worked.
But no overtime.
Is that what you're saying? Even the overtime?
But is it legal if it's on overtime not to give them the overtime?
It's really, honestly, I don't think it is.
I don't
You're
think
gonna
it
have
is
to-
either.
So if you wanna say it's on their straight hours that you're
Just
gonna
straight
give them
hours.
250?
Yeah, the hours they turn in, they get an extra 250 for. That we don't have to worry about overtime hours or anything else.
Yeah, I'm good with that. And we've never run into this before, so we don't know if it's legal or not.
I don't think the Department of Revenue would think it was.
Yeah.
Because overtime's overtime to them, and
Yeah.
that's the way they would look at it.
So 40 hours each,
Up to 40
up to
hours.
40,
Up to
up to
40.
40
hours, that's the
hours,
easy way to do it.
times 250, then you don't have to worry about overtime hours.
Straight
But that's
$2.50
$100.
an
That's the easy
hour.
way to do it, I'd say it.
The only argument we would have be EMS, because their overtime is built in.
It's built in.
But your salary ordinance has them at 40 hours. Your salary ordinance does not reflect their
Their
overtime
schedule.
hours. And
Okay.
it can vary depending on if they take a holiday or not, and, neither here nor there, that's up to you guys. But if you do it 40 hours consistent across the board for every one of these departments, then they've all gotten the same hazard duty pay based on 40 hours.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay,
16.
so that's 40 hours. Okay.
Have sheriff and jail and EMS.
Yes. And then we'll add the highway, community corrections to the clerical.
I added them to your clerical motion.
Okay.
What about health?
And you're just talking full-time people.
Health department. Now, the health department, their doors were closed, right? They didn't deal with the public. They just pulled out their hours, right?
They closed their building like the courthouse did, by appointment only. They weren't closed, but they did by appointments, and they scheduled their, and of course, I know, that's not during this time, so I won't speak to that. But, they did take appointments, and they did do things, but they were like us.
They did do some testing.
Yes. But they, but 911, health department, IT and maintenance, I think are the departments that we've got left. Because we took care of corrections and highway with the clerical.
$2.50 an hour for them.
You wanna give them hour for hour, 250? You based on 40,
Based on 35.
35?
Yeah, same as this building.
Oh, really?
So 911, maintenance, IT,
And health.
and health.
Did you guys want to do a motion for the sheriff, jail, and EMS, or you just
I think we just do it all at one time.
all on top?
It's gonna be basically the same, I think, we're supposed to do.
So we're leaving anybody out, 911, maintenance, IT, and health, is that the only ones left?
For,
Okay.
Cause security's gonna be with the jail. And now, I guess that's a point to you, John, is this full or part, or both, full-time, part-time? Cause we have a lot of regulars scheduled.
everybody out there
part-time.
full-time?
There's part-time, I think Bill's got part-time people on there.
Yeah, Chris is full-time already.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking, I mean, in general,
In
we're
general
talking only
speaking.
full-time people or part-time people get that $2 or something too.
Yeah,
If they were working.
yeah, it's for
Yeah.
full-time,
That-
part-time,
that's
That's
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
I'd say full-time and part-time.
Yeah, that's only fair.
Cause
Yes.
EMS has part-time workers, you know, we got, you know,
Yeah, that's only
so this
fair.
is full and part.
yes,
And part-time clerical wasn't really called on during the pandemic, because
good,
they were, you know,
So
right.
what you come up with out on that?
But they weren't called on, but you're still supposed to pay them.
we
some
did during the
average.
pandemic,
Okay.
but not the extra,
Not the,
they won't get
Okay.
called or
they got
anything,
paid
yes,
during the
Right.
pandemic, yeah.
they got
Okay.
paid.
Right.
Okay,
So you going 250 an hour on them too, or what's your motion gonna be?
does anybody see any reason not to?
I think it's fair.
Yeah,
So up to 40 hours again, that way you
yeah, up to 40
Well,
hours worked,
yeah,
worked, yes.
yeah. And it,
so, we're done on that?
So when we go back to the time card, so I wanna have my clear understanding. If someone took a PTO day, we'll give that back to their service record, but they're not eligible for hazard duty pay that day.
no,
Correct.
just regular pay.
Just regular 40 hours, just, that's all we're just gonna give everybody.
Right,
Okay,
right,
If they were on PTO, they would get paid the regular time anyway.
anyway,
So they wouldn't need to work, they wouldn't pay the ones that work.
right.
okay.
That is form motion,
Clear as mud, everybody?
clear as mud. Well, we got sometimes straightened out.
Yeah.
Cause it's gonna take me a while to calculate, go back every time card.
It can always be subject to change.
Yeah.
Yes, but before you, this is what you're proposed to
That's what
do,
we're-
and then when the final package gets to you all, you can adopt it and agree to pay it how you need to, like that. That way you
I
guys
think
can
so we don't
review
need
it
a
one more
motion,
time.
why don't we just let that be
Yeah.
guidelines?
That's-
To me, to work all
that's
this
the-
up,
what we-
Yeah.
How's
Then
that?
the motion.
Okay,
Then we'll make a motion once we get it
okay.
nailed.
how about we work this up and present it to you and your,
This discussion,
Right.
Okay,
okay, so you're directing me to do all this, and that will be good to go.
All right. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes of April 13th?
sounds good to me.
I was the one actually here, everybody else is on the phone.
I don't think I read it.
I'm not doing that.
You weren't here.
No, I was on the phone.
I was.
He was on the phone.
I did the phone call.
It was his, I was like,
Right.
We were still
Yeah.
present though, we still have to
Yeah.
approve them.
That's
Why
about
you
the
read
gist of
them?
them, I will take a
Oh,
look at them.
okay.
they sounded good.
All right, well,
Sound
they
good.
sounded good, even though. you
Rachel
didn't
says it's good, it's good.
I wasn't on there. That's one I missed.
Okay, approval. You know, I wondered about one thing. This is 80% alcohol.
There you go.
Can you
The
drink it?
president said we can drink chlorides.
Ooh,
So you think it's be okay to drink?
Yeah.
Give them a try.
Go ahead.
alcohol
There,
is.
Andrew.
You be the guinea pig.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, it's still running.
Okay, did we approve the minutes?
Do we have anything
Did we approve the
else?
minutes? Did you guys say yes or no?
I thought we all did.
Yeah, that's not.
Rachel motioned to approve minutes.
I thought
I can't,
Robert,
cause I wasn't
She
here.
was,
I thought Robert
Oh,
made a
Robert
motion.
did, Robert
Robert
made the
did.
motion, Rachel can second.
You don't take that ring off, it'll leave.
and I'm gonna say that was unanimous.
Yes.
Okay,
Say,
on that?
say add
Special counsel.
Okay, add what?
You got it.
We'll tag him with that, and
Yeah,
then
it
adjourn.
Or it just looked.
and motion to adjourn.
I think Robert Peacock stood up first, didn't he? We're gonna do him.
Is that all
we don't
President's
have, is that
got?
everything on here?
I'll second.
Rachel Harden, second,
Right.
and I think that's it.
Good to go.